To make sure the backlinks you build to your Shopify store have the biggest impact, you need to properly optimize the anchor text used for every single link that you build. If you are too aggressive with anchor text, you can see quick ranking movements, but you risk getting penalized for over optimization. And on the other hand, if you're too conservative with anchor text, you'll simply need to build more links to actually see an impact from them. In this video, I'll show you an effective framework for how to choose the anchor text for your backlink strategically to get the highest ROI from your link building budget. Okay, so before I get into the details of the strategy here, I just want to go over quickly what anchor text is and why it even matters in the first place, just to make sure we're on the same page here. So if you're not familiar, anchor text is just the text that's used when linking from one page to another. So here, a marketing strategy, that's the anchor text in the link. Basically, whatever is underlined in the hyperlink, those words, that's your anchor text. Okay. And why anchor text matters, it just basically gives Google extra context on what your page is about and what you're trying to rank it for. So obviously Google reads your page title, URL, page content, but the anchor text used in your backlinks just gives an extra boost to those specific keywords or those phrases used in the anchor text there in your backlinks. And as one of my friends says, your anchor text profile should tell a story of what your page is about. So that basically means, like, if you just look at a list of all the anchor text, so just anchor text profile, you should be able to know what that page is about just by looking at those anchor text. Should be obvious what the keywords that page is targeting and what it's trying to rank for, just by looking at anchor text used previously. And of course, why anchor text matters. So you can the whole reason for this video is because you can optimize the anchors. So to pass on more ranking power for the keywords that you want to rank for by using more keyword rich, partial match, exact match, that's kind of other terms for it, anchors. But you can overdo it and penalize your page. So that's why we need to be careful. And that's why I'm going to be going over my strategy here to avoid anchor over optimization, which it's pretty much just the off-page equivalent of keyword stuffing. So it's stuffing your anchor text with your target keywords. That's a one-way ticket to just limiting your page's performance. And just in general, the ideal backlink profile will consist of anchor text that looks natural, isn't spammy, and is optimized enough so to help you rank for your target keywords, obviously without being over-optimized. And just having the right mix of anchors just helps you rank well with needing less links overall. So that's what I'm going to be getting into in a little bit of how to approach that to make sure that your links have the highest impact. So before you even get started to set out your anchor text, of course, you need to know which pages you're even building links to, what the keywords you're targeting on those pages are. And of course, if the pages already have existing links, you want to know the anchors of those links, just so you don't repeat anchors or accidentally over-optimize just because you forgot about the links that you built before. So want to have these three elements in place and ready to go before you get to work to set out your next backlinks. So how I go about checking the existing backlink profile for each page, pretty much just in Ahrefs. I'm sure SEMrush has like similar filters, but what I like to do is to filter out the noise and any low quality links by just looking at links that are do follow, and use this new filter there, like for non-spammy links. So best links, no spam. That just filters out these spammy links, obviously, which were harder to identify kind of in bulk before. But this filter really helps. Look at DR20 plus from sites that have at least 500 traffic. So you can increase or decrease that threshold as you like, but I found 500 is a pretty good mix to show if it's like a real site or not. Pretty much just to get rid of any kind of like mass generated sites. And pretty much just want to see the links that will be driving the biggest impact. The ones that you actually want to pay attention to here. And only look at one link per domain as well, because you might have multiple links to a page from a site for whatever reason. So these are the filters that I use for just looking at the highest quality links, and to remove the noise and to see what we're really looking at here. So that'll show you just the actual links to each page. But if you have more than say like 10 links going to a page, it helps to just look at the actual anchors themselves. Since you have, for this example, of course, this site has like over 500 links. So you're not going to just manually skim through that and You can get an idea of what's going on, but yeah, it really helps to just use this other tab. So the anchors tab, whereas up here, we're looking at just the backlinks in general, just to get a feel for what's going on and pretty much apply the same filters as above to the anchors tab to just see a detailed breakdown of the anchors by type. So you can see here, there's over 300 links. We're using Gymshark, so it's one word as anchor, over 55%. So it shows a percentage breakdown, which really helps to kind of add up. Either if you download this list or just kind of in your head to get a feel for what's going on. To see, obviously, the majority of the links here are branded anchors, for example, which will be important as we go into the strategy. So, okay. And yeah, really. So speaking of branded anchors, there are really 4 anchor types that I consider when I set out anchor text for backlinks. And yeah, I consider them target, branded, topical, and miscellaneous or generic. So I'll get into what each of these means. But yeah, before I move on, just wanted to point out that I pretty much just use target and branded anchors now. That's what I'm mostly using. Except for, say, pages that we're building a lot of links, then I'll mix in more kind of general or like topically related anchors. This just allows for the highest impact. So by using target anchors and branded are just pretty much the safest anchors that you can use. But let me get into what each of these actually means. I just want to point that out. Used to use like more healthy mix of all 4, but now pretty much just use target and branded most of the time here. So what do I mean by a target anchor? So basically any anchor text that contains your target keywords, whether it's singular, plural, doesn't matter. But yeah, just contains any of the words from your keyword list. So here, if we have like chocolate protein powder is our keyword. So target anchors would be anything that includes the words chocolate, protein, or powder in them. So try this chocolate protein powder, tasty protein powder, chocolate flavored. So those sort of anchors are pretty obvious. Any anchor that includes your target keywords. Similarly, so tungsten rings. So buy a tungsten ring, consider rings made with tungsten, quality tungsten rings. So pretty self-explanatory, I think. Here, on the other hand, topical is pretty much anchor text that relates to your target keywords and your niche without specifically mentioning any single word from your target keywords. So in the case of chocolate protein powder, you're kind of like beating around the bush a little bit. So it would be like build muscle faster, like just 30 grams per scoop. So vitamin packed formula. So we're kind of talking around the subject without specifically mentioning any of your keywords. And one way I like to get these topical anchors is just by reading. If you just open a page, you can just see how a different site, they refer to their products or like just using niche specific language. Those are sort of phrases that you can get just by reading a product page, collection page, just to get a feel for what the page is about. And that's what topical anchors are. Branded, of course, is just the site's brand name or their like homepage URL with or without capitalization. So here, an example would be like protein shop, like whether it's one word, 2 words. Obviously, if a brand real specific about how they refer to themselves, like just stick with that. So whether they like split it up into 2 words, like before with Gymshark, there were some anchors that had it all 1 word or broken up into 2 words. So just try to be consistent there with the links that you build. Of course, other sites may refer to you differently, but for the links that you control, just be consistent there. And branded anchor is just anything that includes your whatever domain name, pretty much, and your branded name. And then the last anchor type here, miscellaneous. So typical miscellaneous generic anchor text. Click here, read more, visit website, learn more. Just basically anything that doesn't specifically talk about their niche, so which would be considered like topical anchors, and of course doesn't include the brand name or any of the target keywords. So just everything else, just lump it under miscellaneous. And if that sounds confusing, so you can download my free link building template from the first link in the description below. This free Shopify SEO trainings. There's a lot more in there besides link building template, but basically with this link building tracking sheet template, have everything set out here. So you just basically fill in your main keyword and your URLs and have everything pre-set out for the first 50 backlinks to build to your store. to make sure that you have the highest impact, just following the exact framework that I'm going over in this video with the examples built into the sheet to help you set this out as quickly as possible. So to keep our backlink profile natural looking, here are the guidelines that I follow and just kind of the overarching principles in terms of setting out anchor text. So basically you want to make sure that every anchor can be used naturally in a sentence. So pretty much that it's grammatically correct. So you don't want to use like plumber Dallas, even though that's the phrase that people are using to search for your business. You want to say plumber in Dallas when you're looking for a Dallas plumber, or plumbers in Dallas, plumbers are in the Dallas area. Make sure everything just reads naturally. Don't want to just spam random phrases that just don't make sense out of context. They should be able to read naturally, because if you're using guest post link insertions, you'll need to use them in sentences. So just make sure that it looks natural and not forced. Similarly, you always want to use proper capitalization for brand names, proper nouns. So like city locations or brand names, it kind of falls under grammatically correct, but just want to point that out because like keyword tools will just show all the keywords lowercase, but that's not usually how people are searching for them. They will use like put the city name or country capitalized. So just be sure to do that as well. And lastly, I try to avoid repeating the exact same anchors, except for more competitive niches. Of course, there's always exceptions to every rule. But in general, I like to mix things up by using both singular and plural versions of my keywords, as well as secondary keywords. And also, like in your page is already doing well, you can get queries from Google Search Console. So just see the exact phrases that searchers are using to see your page, to get that you're already getting impressions and clicked for. Of course, just make sure that those are used naturally, because those queries, like I mentioned, can just be kind of random phrases people search for. And yeah, the key thing is just want to avoid over optimizing the anchor text profile. Like I mentioned before, by using a healthy mix of the 4 anchor types. And like I mentioned before as well, pretty much stick with target and branded anchors. Currently, that's what I found is working the best. Though you can, of course, mix in these other anchor types as well. And it's pretty much just more conservative. So if you want to be 100% aggressive, you would just use all target anchors. Whereas on the other hand, if you want to be very conservative, you would just use all branded and miscellaneous anchors. Pretty much no way to get over optimized that way. Okay, so let's dive into a more detailed strategy here. So whether you're starting from scratch or that you already have existing links to your page, so I'm going to go over both scenarios. Starting with, if you're just starting from zero, never built a link before, or at least not to a given page, here's kind of my approach for the first link that you should build to each page. So what I like to do, starting from zero, is using a target anchor for the first 1 to 2 links. So these will have the biggest impact. So there's some examples here of links that I built. So this didn't build 4 of these in a row. These are like mixed in with other anchor types, as you'll see below. I just wanted to filter this links that I built for a client, so you can see just kind of like real examples of anchor text here, not just trying to make things up. So here are just some examples. Obviously, if you can use the exact keyword phrase. So here it's a little bit more conservative. So adding in these other kind of adjectives or whatever they're called. So high quality descriptive words, unique designs, perfect. And then you can do like kind of target plus branded. So you can like mix and match these anchor types as well. So yeah, here are just some examples of like actual target kind of anchors that I built. And like I mentioned, so starting from zero, make your first 1 to 2 links, kind of these target anchor types for the biggest impact. And then after you've built the first 1 to 2 links, that's where I like to start mixing in branded and even topical anchors sometimes. So here you can see, especially since this page was the actual homepage of the site, it just makes sense to have a high percentage of branded anchors for it. So visit whateveryoursite.com, just yoursite.com. Here's a topical anchor, family-owned online jewelry store, just kind of describing what they sell, like what the website's about. Explore the brand name, another like just all lowercase. So I consider those 2 different anchors. So capitalizing the name and the URL, and the fully lowercase, just the brand name itself, um, whatever the brand name official site, shop, brandname.com. So these are all different, like branded, and a few topical anchors as well that got mixed in here for this page. And yeah, overall, just aim to keep the target anchor percentage under 50% after the first few links. So after you build whatever the first 1 to 2 links, like your anchor text ratio is going to be 100% target anchors. So it's just after that. So say, to keep things simple, if you build one target link, that's 100% target. And if you build a branded link, then it's like half of your links are branded, half target. So like 50 pretty much. And yeah, just strive. Yeah, try not to keep trying to make the anchor percentage over 50% target. That just kind of avoids any red flags of like being over optimized, at least in my experience. So you can be more aggressive if you have a higher risk tolerance. And I'll go over exceptions in a little bit. But basically, the whole reason I kind of follow this approach is that I found target anchors have the biggest impact on your rankings since, you're using the exact keyword phrase. So you're just driving a lot more signals there to Google that, hey, rank this page for this target keyword here. So that's why I like to use them first. So that way, like, hey, maybe all you need is 1 or 2 of those target anchors. And with those 2 links, maybe that's all it's going to take for you to rank where you want to rank, get you in the top 3 positions or something. So try to just use those target anchors first versus if you just use like read more or something for your first few links, it's just really generic and it's going to be a lot slower. You're going to see a lot slower movement basically in the rankings if you're overly conservative like that. So that's kind of the trade-off here. Use a few target anchors, try to get that quick ranking movement off the bat, and then start mixing in those branded anchors just to keep things looking natural pretty much. And here's kind of the guidelines. So if your page already has existing links, you'll just want to check the anchor text distribution of your links and just kind of categorize them on your own to see how optimized your anchor text profile is for each page. And yes, try to narrow this down, like keep it simple. So basically, if you have over 50% target anchors, the next links you build should use more branded topical anchors. Whereas if you're under 50% target, so you kind of have more like generic branded anchors than anything, just you can build more target anchors next. So to try to get that ranking movement without being over optimized, and just kind of just keep going back and forth here. Like build a couple target anchors, then build a branded one, then build topical, then build another target. That's kind of how you go. You can keep track of this over time. Just to make sure you're not being over optimized. And those are just the general rules here for how I approach building links to pages with 0 links currently, or that already have, whether it's 1 or 100 links, the same framework applies. You'll just have a higher number of links to look through to come up with the different, or to see the current breakdown of like what the percentages for each anchor type. But after you have that, then you can just follow this framework for knowing which anchor type to build next. And so here, a few tips for actually choosing the anchor text. So once you know kind of what type you want to build, and this helps too if you're just confused of like how aggressive you can be and maybe even the exact anchors to use. You may be lacking some creativity or something. But what I like to do in that case is just look at the backlink profiles for the top pages ranking. So your top competitors. And what you can do here is you open up the actual backlinks and anchor text profile of your competitor pages. You'll be able to update your strategy based on what's already working for them. And basically, if your top competitors are more aggressive, so say if they have like 80% target anchors, that probably means that you can get away with it too. Obviously, given that your pages are similarly optimized. So to make sure your on-page SEO is on point as well. And but basically, if you see multiple competitors being very aggressive with the anchors, basically just means you can get away with being more aggressive yourself as well. Probably won't want to overdo it, but that just means you can turn the dial up on how many target anchors you can build, maybe 60, 70, 80% target anchors or something. in certain niches or certain cases. That's why I just have in general, like 50-50 seems to be good. But of course, yeah, just look at what's actually ranking to see, yeah, what Google is accepting or what Google expects for that keyword. And yeah, to get ideas as well of like proven anchors for the exact anchor text use, you can simply copy the anchors that your competitors are using. So if it's working for them, it'll probably work for you too. Obviously, you'll need to filter out any brand names. So you don't want to use your competitor's brand name to link to your site. Avoid that. Still need to use your brain a little bit here. Just filter those out. But any like target anchors or even topical ones, you can just follow what's already working for them and try to get that to work for your site as well. And yeah, just in summary to wrap things up here, don't overcomplicate it when it comes to anchors. Um, the key thing, we just want to make sure that you're not over optimizing or being overly conservative with anchor text to make sure that you get the best results. And yeah, pretty much we want to balance getting fast ranking movement by using target anchors in the first few backlinks. And yeah, that helps us be able to rank with the fewest backlinks possible while minimizing the long-term risk of if you just use 100% keyword anchors, you're probably not going to have a good time. Might see quick ranking movement, but yeah, you're likely to get kicked out of the results just by being over-optimized in that case. Which is why we mix in those branded anchors, and you can also mix in the topical and miscellaneous anchors as well, depending on how many links you are actually building to each page. So if that makes sense, if you want help on how to actually implement this, like I mentioned before, you can download my link tracking sheet template in the first link in the description below, along with other free Shopify SEO trainings and other goodies to help you move faster in terms of getting your store optimized for SEO. That's all for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.